As Mark kindly introduced me, I'm Robert Newry, co-founder of Arctic Shores, and since the beginning of this year, I have a new job title, which is Chief Explorer, which a few people have told me is one of the coolest job titles out there. And LinkedIn keeps telling me that there's an increase in explorer job opportunities, so I'm waiting for Elon Musk to ask me if I want to help him get to Mars. But today I am going to talk to you about one of the biggest challenges for early careers, but generally I think in recruitment, the AI-enabled candidate. And I'm going to give you 3 practical tips which I give to every TA team that I speak to at the moment in how to address this. Just a quick introduction about Arctic Shores first. I set the business up 10 years ago, and my passion is about uncovering potential. And I have a fundamental belief, which is the way to understand people in the best way is to observe how they do things, how they actually do things, rather than ask them how they might do something. And this is what Arctic Shores has all been about. How do we discover and uncover potential by the way that people do things? And in the 10 years we've been going, we've worked with 350 different organizations in 45 different countries. Over 3 million people have been through the platform. We've helped over 75,000 of those be hired into some great organizations, some of whom you see here. We still consider ourselves to be very innovative, but as you can see, we have a strong track record behind us. In addition to uncovering potential, one of the biggest benefits that we give our partners and clients is that we just help to reduce the amount of time that you spend looking at applications and CVs. And I know that's a big challenge for many organizations, and so it's good to know that there are ways out there that you can spend more of your time doing what you enjoy doing, which is talking to candidates, and less time looking through lots of CVs and applications. But let me move on now to the AI-enabled candidate. Why is it such a big challenge? Well, first of all, this is just a small oversight of the number of tools that are out there that will help any candidate enhance their job application. Whether that's apprentices, early careers, experienced hires, this is just a small sample of the tools that are out there. And if you go into TikTok, you go into the student room, you go into Instagram, it is awash, if you want to look for it, with tools and tips as how to hack a job application, whether that's early careers or afterwards. So the first problem is that there are lots of tools out there actively helping people enhance their job application. And the second thing around this is that because they've got access to all these tools and you've got ChatGPT on your phone, the power dynamic between the candidate and you as recruiters has fundamentally changed. Up to now, you were in the up. You had technology. You had the ability to screen and check and find out whether people were genuine and sift through the applications. But now they've got every bit as powerful tools as you have in order for them to be able to apply and enhance their applications. So that's really important. The power dynamic has changed. Now, before I just show you this short clip, one of the challenges I get given all the time is, okay, Robert, yeah, all these tools are out there, but we just don't believe that students are fundamentally trying to cheat the system. And actually, the surveys say that most students aren't trying to use AI to cheat, most. The problem is that it's very easy to cheat the system, and so more and more are doing so. And I'm just going to show you this clip. For me, it was one of the most eye-opening podcast that I did last year with two professors from the University of Reading who believed that the use of ChatGPT to enhance exam results in universities was much more prolific than anybody was admitting, and that it was easier to do it, and that it wasn't easy to detect. So I'll show you the clip, but this is the background to this. They inserted 33 AI students into the psychology course at Reading, unknown to the, and it was all done very secretly but ethically, into the psychology course at Reading. 33 AI students into a cohort of 200. And they're just going to explain here what the results were from that very carefully done study.
How many of your 33 AI students and their various different modules were actually detected, and how many actually sailed through the system undetected?
94% were undetected.
94%?
By detected, it just had to be that the submission was flagged as being suspicious in some way.
Oh, so really loose.
It didn't need to mention we think this is AI. It could be this is just oddly written.
Yes.
This is covering material not in the course. We knew the answers were going to be good. I'm not sure we expected it to be as undetectable.
Okay, well, what were the results then?
Overall, the AI designed scripts fared much better than our regular students. On average by
half a class of code.
half a class classification. So that's about a 2-1 type of setup. I think that students who would have used it would have benefited better, and so would have had a better.
So they're getting a better degree by using AI. This was covered in the Times last Saturday. If you want to go and find the study, go and look on my LinkedIn page. I posted about it because it is absolutely extraordinary. On average, the 33 AI students got a 2-1 grade. So the assumption is, if everybody's cheating, everybody's going to get a first, and therefore we will know that there is cheating going on. But the reality is, it's just moving the grades up a bit, and it's normally distributed. So the psychology department were patting themselves on the back saying, oh, we got slightly better results this year. More students got a 2-1. Teaching must be better. And that is the challenge. A lot of it is being undetected, and it's not moving the results so significantly that we're able to spot it. They reckoned about 15% to 20% of students are using ChatGPT to enhance, this was done a year ago, by the way, to enhance their exam results. Now, why is that important? Well, number one, we're all in early careers here. How much can we trust then a 2-1 degree result, and how many people here are still putting that as a minimum requirement? Okay? Now, the impact of all of this, and I just spoke to a professional services firm last week on this, of their recent cohort who failed the audit exam, it was a accountancy firm, of the recent cohort who failed the audit exam, how many do you think got a first-class degree? 45%. 77% of people who failed the audit exam got a 2-1 or higher, but 45% got a first. If you had said that 10 years ago, every partner of every professional services firm would have had a heart attack there and then. So we've got a real challenge about how ChatGPT is being used and our ability to detect it. So the next question is, okay, well, if students are using it to improve their educational results, are they using it in the recruitment processes that we've all got in place now? Well, here is an example of somebody using ChatGPT to do an SJT, a situational judgment test, which a lot of people use as a way of screening out students. So here, put into ChatGPT, imagine you're applying for a job and you're going to do a situational judgment test. Can you help me? ChatGPT, sure, I'm here to help you. Okay, Here are the instructions. So this is being done on a phone. This is not being done by another tab on the computer. You can go and pick up, here are the instructions. ChatGPT not only reads them instantly, you're not having to do anything. This is like using a calculator. And then it says, okay, here are the instructions. Oh, by the way, you need to go and press the start button. And so it's helping you work through it. Here is the first question. It appears you have to press the start button here. So what's the most likely and the least likely? And not only does it answer the question, it gives you the reasons, it's ranked them, and it gives you the reasons as to why it ranked it in that way. And it did that in less than 60 seconds. So it just shows you how easy it is. So this is the challenge. If you are a student and you're highly conscientious and your next door neighbour just comes in and says, oh, I've just got this job interview, it's brilliant, I use ChatGPT to help me, it's dead easy. And you go, well, hang on, isn't ChatGPT cheating? Well, I don't know, I've used it in my coursework, helped me get a better job. It's really a bit like a calculator. Then you're going to go, okay, am I just a mug now because I'm not using it and I'm seeing other people using it? And this is the challenge. So, just to sort of reinforce this, this is a survey that we did last year. Lots of people are using Gen AI regularly. And what that means is they are getting more proficient. So the example I just showed you of somebody using ChatGPT on their phone to do an SJT was a very, very basic use of it. If you wanted to add in a prompt in there to say, oh, go to this XYZ firm's career site, look at their behaviours, and then answer this SJT based on the behaviours that they say are important on their career site, it will do that for you. And so more and more now people are using it saying, well, actually, I don't have the advantage of some people that have got a private school education. So why wouldn't I use ChatGPT to help me level the playing field? And that's a perfectly legitimate question. So one of the things that I wanted to do is to then think, okay, we're all sat in the room here going, oh my God, everybody's using ChatGPT to cheat their degree results, potentially to recruitment in there. I've got to go and ban it. I've got to stop people using it. This is something that I've got to get on top of. That is a perfectly legitimate reaction to it. But what do you think it looks like from the candidate's perspective? Now, we heard a bit from young professionals just now. What do you think candidates are seeing from the way that you, as employers, are responding to the use of AI in your career process? So I wanted to go and talk and find out what people thought about that. And so this is just a short clip I'm going to show you from two brilliant early career influencers who are my go-to people for advice on what's really happening. Holly Hobbs and Shoshana Davis. They've got 60,000 followers across the two of them in TikTok and Instagram. And so I asked them, what were they hearing about how candidates feel the advice that they're getting?
How are this next generation thinking about ChatGPT?
We polled our communities online and we essentially asked them, do they use AI when applying for jobs? From my community, 55% said they did.
And mine was close enough, so mine was around 45%.
I'd like to just get a bit of your perspective on this, because I think it's important for companies to understand that this is what they see on social media, and it is this sense of this is really easy, and there's no sense of it in any way being cheating either, that it feels like this is a calculator and it's super easy to use, and let me demonstrate to you how easy it is to use, so why would you not use it?
Yeah, I think that narrative is also very much being pushed, but then I don't know about you, Holly, I'm also seeing a different narrative where it's like there are some because obviously like anyone can make a TikTok, so there's like recruiters and things at different companies, there'll be like, there's another narrative which is being pushed, which is very much the opposite in terms of you shouldn't use it. So it's now almost like with everything on social media, I do think it's also creating confusion, because you're seeing one side telling you you're missing out if you're not using it, it's really easy to use, and you're seeing another side saying don't use it. So now I think some of the responses we actually got, or one or two I got, was that when we asked people why they don't use it, because that was a question as well, it was like, I don't think I'm allowed, or it's cheating. So it's very much like I'm actually now seeing mixed messages, which I think is even more confusing, because when you're seeing, it's like advice about CVs. You can see a million different pieces of advice, like how on earth do people know which ones to go with?
So this is the point. There's a very, very confusing for students at the moment. There are some employers saying it's banned, some saying you can use it, but in very specific cases, and then lots of employers who aren't giving any guidance at all. So I wanted to go and speak to students as well, and so I ran in the last couple of months 3 sessions with different universities from Leeds to London, and here were some of the comments that came when I spoke to students about how do you see the use of AI. And so you've got these natural worries. One of my big concerns is my CVs being unfairly ignored due to AI screening processes of CVs. So another big concern of candidates is, how are you as TA professionals using AI? How do I stand out? This is a big challenge. There's so many people. I keep getting told, I come to conferences or I hear things about, oh, the volume of applicants is going up. So what have I got to do to try and stand out? A lot of people find it very time consuming. You know, we heard again from the young professionals, when people are doing exams and they're having to write out lots of applications, they want to find ways to make it a bit easier. So these are kind of normal concerns. This is the one that I want to highlight too. I don't know the name of the law firm, but they asked in their application form, have you used AI to help you in your application so far? And the student asked me, what am I meant to say to that? Is this a honey trap? And they're trying to find out, have I used it? In which case, my application is doomed. Or because I've been on their career site and they're talking about how they use AI and that they're encouraging the use of AI in their firm, that actually this is a positive? Or is it a case of, we just want to know, and then we're going to look at your application much more thoroughly than we would do anybody else? And I said, I don't know the answer. And I'm the one that's talking to lots of people. So if I don't know the answer, how on earth are they meant to know the answer? And I'm not sure that whoever put that on their form had really thought through what the candidate is going to see and think when they're being asked that question. So with the ways that we're trying to find round this to deal with it aren't helping candidates. And this is the biggest problem though. Candidates are really worried that they're going to be rejected for using AI, and they just don't know how good the detection tools are. And I had an example recently where a lady had applied for a job again with a law firm, and she had been rejected for using AI when she hadn't used AI. She was just neurodiverse. Her application didn't fit a neurotypical definition, and so she got rejected. And what she was doing, she was ringing up every employer to say, do you use AI detection tools? If you answer yes, I am not going to apply to your organisation because I've just been falsely rejected. So they don't know. And one of the questions I got is copying something from ChatGPT that's helped me make my why do you want to work for your organisation a little bit more concise. Is copying it from ChatGPT and putting it into the application form cheating? Or is it actually just helping me, because I'm dyslexic, write things a little bit better? They don't know the answer. And so it's really important that we are giving guidance on that. So there are three things, that big problems that we've got to deal with as a result of the AI-enabled candidate. The first is so many people are telling me that they're overwhelmed by a tsunami of applications. I just heard on the table here that they were processing 3,000 applications for 13 early career jobs. 3,000 applications for 13 early career jobs. And I hear that so many times that the volumes are just getting bigger. Then there is the anxiety about AIs holding some people back while giving other people a leg up. And I spoke to Glenn McGowan, who's Global Head of Early Careers at HSBC, and his worry is exactly this, that people have access to AI tools that will give them an advantage, and other people don't have access to those AI tools or haven't realized that they can have access, and so they will be at a disadvantage. And he's right about that. Here are some of the stats that we picked up when we ran a survey of who is using AI to help them in a perfectly legitimate way to improve their chances of getting a job. And then the last thing around all of this, and one of the other things that I will then help you work through on this, is that all of you will be bombarded with new AI tools, new screening tools, things that will help word match so you don't have to look through a CV. So put in your top 5 skills. This magic AI program will now be able to sift through all your applications and CVs and find the best candidates for you. Quite rightly, a lot of you are thinking, hang on, how do I know that there isn't bias in there? And I'll give one example of this. The ISC, bless them, promoted a blog on this where somebody in early careers was telling the story that they had put in hundreds of student applications into ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to stack rank those applications. And they thought this was brilliant, saved us huge amounts of time, and we saw some great CVs from it. But this is ChatGPT. It is trained on the great unwashed of the internet. So ask, and there's plenty of studies around this, like Bloomberg, based on name, based on historical information. If you put nurse, would I, Robert, be suitable for a role as a nurse, according to ChatGPT? No, simply because I am male. And ChatGPT just assumes from historical data that everybody who wants to be a nurse should be female. So there's just ways that ChatGPT is trained that you've got to understand the bias that'll be in there. So here's the impact of these challenges. Number one, I spoke to a couple of early careers teams, and they were closing, this year, they were closing their program early because they just had too many applications. They couldn't process anymore. Hugely unfair to all those people that were planning, due to exams, for other reasons, to go and apply closer to the deadline. They're now just excluded. The second thing is lots of people just saying, well, I'm banning it, and I've spoken a bit around that. It just seems strange to me to tell people they can't use AI and then have all over your career site how much they're going to be using Microsoft Copilot or whatever it might be when they join your organization. And then secondly, lastly on this, people are now starting to think, well, do I fight AI with AI? I think that's an unwinnable war because it's just evolving too fast. So is there a better way? What are the practical things that I'm advising people to deal with this? Well, first of all, you need to have your own AI approach. You can call it a strategy, but you can just call it, I have, as a TA team, these are the things that I want to put in place around AI. Most of you will think that your AI strategy or how you use AI is governed by your IT team. The number of people I've spoken to that says, oh yeah, we've had an ethical AI memo from IT. We're okay. Except that IT are only thinking about employees. You're thinking about candidates. It's a totally different scenario. which is why you've got to have your own AI approach. So here, number one thing, define your principles and requirements. They are different from IT. So, first of all, are you happy with AI making decisions without any human oversight? Now, most people in here will go, no, I'm not happy. But actually, you've got to think that through. What does human oversight mean? Does it mean that a human can influence the criteria with which somebody's selected? Or does it mean a human actually has to press the button that I'm going to move this person forward? And there are things to think around all of that, but most importantly, it is around transparency. How's the decision being made? And then I think there are other things too that you should be thinking about is challenging your TA tech vendors about how they are complying with some of the upcoming legislation. Now, I know this is the EU AI Act, and we're obviously the UK, but many of the organisations here have subsidiaries in Europe, and if you have a subsidiary in Europe, you've absolutely got to apply with this act. And so the question is, and too often here, you'll be saying, oh, do you comply with the EU AI Act? TA tech vendor goes, yeah, we're compliant. And you go, oh, brilliant, I don't really understand the act. I certainly don't understand your tech. So you've told me, yeah, okay, tick box. But really? How are they compliant? How can they explain to you what is it that they need to be compliant with? Can they evidence it? Can they demonstrate it? You've absolutely got to be asking the questions around this. This was I ran a masterclass with Lauren Gladwell last year, which has now been written up, Institute Student Employers blog, where she talks through how Amazon have applied for apprentices across Europe, their AI principles, well worth a read. Secondly, recognise the AI enabled candidate. So point one on this is, are you comfortable with candidates using AI? Where does it create too much risk? You need to understand that in your process. But just as importantly, you need to explain to candidates how you are using AI. They are worried about that. They need to know how are you using AI, not just can they use AI. And if you do one thing after this conference, and one thing only, is go and look at your career site and communicate better. The young professionals teams were absolutely spot on when they said transparency in the process is the number one thing that helps reduce anxiety for the people who are applying to your organisations. And if you want a great example, here is Sam Shoesmiths, who's one of the, from Shoesmith, Sam Hope, one of the early pioneers about how to give good advice.
I think it's really difficult for candidates to understand the expectations if we as employers are not providing those expectations. And that was absolutely key for us in embracing it, was to provide guidance. And I think this is really what took off and got Shoesmiths kind of out there a little bit about talking about AI, was people recognise that we'd not just embraced it and said, oh, you know, you can use AI if you want. We'd actually produced some quite clear guidance about the do's and don'ts. Yeah. Being able to give candidates the best chance. That's what we want to do in the hiring process. Let them shine, give them the best chance of succeeding, and then we will hire those talented individuals. So we wanted to embrace everything about that for the candidate's benefit.
And I think that is just a brilliant summary of it. We want to give candidates the best advice for them to be successful. So the last piece and third practical tip on this is that you've got an opportunity to rethink your whole process for the long-term impact of AI. And you really do have to think about the process. For me, it's the technology is to support a good, repeatable and scalable process. Get the process right first. And I spend a lot of time talking to TA teams about a golden thread that goes from attraction to the assessment and selection and to onboarding. You have to think through how AI is going to impact and be used all the way through. So first of all, understand, where is your process vulnerable? It's probably more vulnerable than you think. I often say to people, go and use ChatGPT. Go and pretend to be a student and see how you can use ChatGPT to answer your recruitment process. You will be shocked when you realise how easy it is, but you've got to understand where it can be manipulated. I think also I'm talking to a lot of people about, well, what's the impact of AI going to be on the things that we're going to ask our students as trainees to do when they come into the workplace? It's going to be different in a world of AI than it was in the past. So things like learning agility is one of the areas that I'm hearing more and more people saying, actually, we want that curiosity, we want that learning agility when people come into our organisations because it's moving so fast. So you've got an opportunity to think about not just how you measure, but what you measure too. And lastly, I think the whole world of assessment is changing. There's much more now focus on how do we understand people from the way that they do things rather than the way that they say they might do things. I think in the future we'll see many more assessments that will be more realistic kind of job activities, or actually what are the core things like learning agility that you're going to need for that. So to summarise it all, there is a fourth way. Your instinctive response when you hear some of these things, to ban it, to not give advice, is understandable, but it's not something you can or should do for the long term. And so just to finally summarise again, these are my 3 actions. Define your early careers AI principles. Have those documented. Give clear candidate guidance, and that's just not how they use AI, but how you use AI. And last, use this as an opportunity to redesign your process. Get that golden thread all the way through, not just about how you use AI, but what you want to measure and how you want to measure. Don't tinker. I see so many people going, oh, I'll just make a little adjustment here. It is too important to be tinkering with this to address these issues. I've shared with you some of the podcasts. I love doing them. I've spoken to lots of interesting people. This is not me talking to Arctic Shores customers. It is me talking to interesting people who have perspectives on some of these big challenges. It's called the TA Disruptors podcast. You can see the link there, plus subscribe to the newsletter. And lastly, we have got a stand here. If coming to hear about what you can do about the AI-enabled candidate isn't enough to encourage you to come and see us, then we also have a £250 lifestyle voucher as a competition if you put your name down when you come to the stand. And we have Lola's cupcakes if that wasn't enough as well to encourage you there. But thank you for listening. I hope you found it useful, and do come and see me later.